All right, let's get right into it. Sometimes a championship game tells a story that has almost nothing to do with the final score. And this is one of those times. We're going to break down how Duke, the #1 team in the entire country, had their game plan absolutely blown to pieces, and yet somehow they walked away with the ACC title. This was so much more than a win. This was an identity check. And honestly, the entire story kicks off with this quote right here. And what's so incredible is who said it. That's not a teammate, not a coach. That's the guy who is causing all the problems. That's Virginia's Ugo Onyenso talking about Duke's superstar. And that right there gets to the absolute heart of this thing. Mental toughness. When everything, and I mean everything, is going wrong.
So let's really set the scene here. Coming into this game, pretty much everyone thought the script was already written. This was supposed to be Duke's party.
I mean, just look at the weight of expectations on this team. You've got the #1 ranking, you're the presumptive top seed for the NCAA Tournament, and you're led by your very own Superman, Cayden Boozer, a guy everyone was talking about for National Player of the Year. The thinking was pretty simple. They were going to cruise. This was supposed to be a coronation.
Well, basketball has a funny way of just ripping that script right up. The coronation, yeah, that turned into an absolute dogfight because Duke's Superman ran headfirst into a wall of kryptonite.
And that kryptonite had a name, Ugo Onyenso. Now, for those who don't know him, think of a 7-foot defensive anchor whose entire mission in life is to make you regret ever thinking about driving to the basket. And on this particular day, he wasn't just doing his job, he was rewriting history.
And here it is. Just look at that stat line for Duke's superstar, Cayden Boozer. 3 for 17. For a player like him, that isn't just a bad night. That is a complete nightmare unfolding on the biggest stage possible. Onyenso was just taking him apart.
And here is the number that tells the whole story. 9. 9 block shots for Onyenso, and over half of them were on Boozer alone. This wasn't just a good game. He demolished a tournament record previously held by Tim Duncan. Think about that. He was a one-man wrecking crew.
And get this, it wasn't just frustrating for Duke. This quote is from Onyenso's own teammate, Dallin Hall, talking about what it's like to practice against the guy. So if his own teammates find him that frustrating, can you even imagine what was going through Cayden Boozer's head as his championship dream was just imploding?
But here's the thing about championship teams. They find a way. When plan A goes up in flames, you better have a plan B. And out of all that chaos, a new hero, a really unexpected one, stepped right out of the shadows. It's the question every great team eventually has to answer. Your #1 guy, your go-to player, is being completely erased from the game. The entire offense is grinding to a halt. So, who's going to step up? Who has the nerve to take over? The answer was right there on the court the whole time. His brother, Cayden Boozer. While Virginia's entire defensive game plan was so laser-focused on stopping one Boozer, they kind of forgot there was another one out there. And Cayden's impact wasn't just helpful, it was immediate and it was decisive. He dropped 12 points in the first 11 minutes of the game, basically single-handedly keeping Duke from getting blown out. He ends up with 16 huge points, and maybe the biggest play of the day, he's the one who grabs Duke's 20th offensive rebound to seal the win. The man was everywhere. And I absolutely love this quote from Cayden. It just says it all, doesn't it? He said Virginia basically dared him to shoot at the start, and he just kept making them pay. That early success built a wave of confidence that just became unstoppable. And that's the mindset that turns you into a hero when it matters most.
So this is where the story really shifts. It stops being about one player's bad night and starts being about a team's unbelievable toughness. Because this title wasn't won with highlight reel dunks. It was forged in the fire of a totally failed game plan.
Yeah, this slide just breaks it down perfectly. The glory plan was for Cayden Boozer to score 30 and be the hero. The grit reality? He becomes a distributor with 8 assists and hits the glass for 8 rebounds. The team focus completely shifted from hero ball to just pure nasty hustle. And those 20 offensive boards are the perfect symbol of that. They won this thing on loose balls and clutch free throws, not flashy plays.
And this right here is such a crucial point about Cayden Boozer. Yeah, the shot was broken. 3 for 17 is rough. But he refused to let that frustration take him out of the game. He pivoted. He became a playmaker. He became a rebounder. He still found a way to be absolutely essential to winning. That's the real mark of a superstar.
And there's the coach, Jon Scheyer, just laying it all out. He's talking about the team's identity. It's not about being pretty, it's about will. It's about who wants it more. Who's gonna dive on the floor for that loose ball? That's the mentality that won them a championship. So as we wrap this up, it's pretty clear this wasn't just another trophy to put in a case. This one meant something more, not just for this team, but for the entire university. And you have to understand the history here. With this win, Duke did something that had never happened before in the history of the ACC. They won the conference championship in football, in women's basketball, and in men's basketball, all in the same school year. This gritty, ugly basketball win was the last piece of a historic puzzle.
And that's really the big takeaway, isn't it? This win was a revelation for Duke. It proved to themselves and everyone else that they are so much more than just one player. It proved they have the guts and the grit to win when their best player is having his absolute worst day. And that is a terrifying thought for every other team in the country. Which leaves us with this one last lingering question. If this is what Duke looks like when their game plan is in the trash can and their star can't hit the broadside of a barn, just imagine what this team can do when everything is clicking. That's the question they've just asked the rest of the nation to think about.